Hey guys, what's up? It's Fern. Welcome back to another planty video. So today I'm going to be talking about 5 plants that I think are hard. Maybe not hard, but plants that I have struggled with. I've had an ongoing kind of struggle with that I often hear other people say are easy, good for beginners, stuff like that. Just plants that I have not found easy. Okay. Of course, this is all going to be, very individual to me. We all have different growing conditions, so many factors that are going to influence our growing experience. A plant that is hard for me might be really easy for someone else just because of where they live, or, vice versa. And I'm actually thinking of doing like the opposite of this video, plants that I think are easy that I hear a lot of other people struggle with. So let me know if you would like to see that one as well. But yeah, I have 5 here. Well, kind of 6, but 5 that I've just, been on the struggle bus with a little bit, either in the past or now or ongoing forever. Before we hop into the video, I'm going to talk about today's sponsor, which we don't have a sponsor for today's video. I did not have a sponsor for the second half of September, so guess what? I'm sponsoring myself. I've seen some people do this, and you know what? I've just decided, why not? So today's video is brought to you by my Patreon, which thank you so much to everyone that is a member of my Patreon. I love you guys so much. And I figured I don't really talk about my Patreon that much. Like in most of my videos, I don't even mention it, like I don't push it, whatever. So I'm just gonna talk about it a little bit here. So Patreon is another platform that I'm active on where for a small monthly fee, you can gain access to bonus video content. If you sign up for the middle tier, which is $5 a month, I post 2 bonus videos a month. I also do things like journal entries on there. It's basically like a more intimate community where I can connect with people, which is really nice. And not only me connecting with people, but other plant people connecting with other plant people. You also gain access to my Discord chat, which has a ton of other awesome planty people. We have some really great discussions on there. We talk about anything from, plant tips, plant help, anything plant related to mental health. We share lots of photos, advice, just regular life stuff. It's a really supportive and positive space. Everyone is just so amazing and lovely, and I would love for you to become a part of it. So if you're interested, I will leave the links down below for my Patreon. It is a huge help to me and part of what keeps this channel going. So if you do choose to sign up, thank you so much. And thank you to all of my current Patreon members and everyone that has been a member in the past. Okay, that was a fun sponsor. So let's talk about the plants. Okay, you guys, so the first plant that I'm going to talk about, or the first type of plant that I'm going to talk about, is Skindapsis. I don't know why I feel like so absurd saying this, but I struggle with Skindapsis a lot. I do. I've just had a bit of a tough time. So the type, I haven't had a ton of different types of Skindapsis, and I love Skindapsis. Let me just say this, I'm willing to put in the work, but you know what? I've actually kind of struggled with all the Skindapsis I've had. So this right here is the Jade Satin, which this is one of my favorite varieties. It's the all green one. This is the newest leaf. It's just finishing unfurling. Look how pretty. I know people kind of laugh that there's so much hype about the Jade Satin Skindapsis because it's basically just like the Exotica without the variegation. But it's just so beautiful, just the plain dark green foliage. I love her. Okay, so I've had this one and I've struggled with it. I've had Skindapsis Exotica, obviously, and I've struggled with it. And I'm not just talking about this one in Leca that I've mentioned I've struggled with. My pot of Skindapsis Exotica, which was living in soil, I struggled with a lot, which is now onto a new and better home. I passed that one on when I moved, but I had just always had a tough time with that plant. Its leaves would yellow. I don't know if it was the lighting, just something about it I couldn't get right, or maybe it was just the vibes, but yeah, the leaves would yellow. It never really got to a point where it was trailing. I'm so in awe of when people have a giant basket of Skindapsis Exotica and it's trailing down. I love that look so much, but for some reason I had that thing for a couple of years and it just would not it just would not get to that point, and it would get leggy. And same with my Skindapsis Pictus argyrius, that one would get leggy as well. And I know a lot of people have said like, oh, well, Skindapsis are meant to climb, like they're supposed to be shingling plants, which makes sense that they would get leggy when they're trailing, but they just look so beautiful as trailing plants, so it's kind of tough. But yeah, and I wouldn't say I've necessarily struggled with this jade satin. It's just that it's like an incredibly slow grower, and you guys, if you have this plant, you can tell me if it's just mine or if it's these in general. But I've had this for a year now. Okay, I got it a year ago, almost exactly, as a cutting, and it's given me like 2 leaves, these 2 leaves since then. Maybe it gave me 3, maybe it gave me this one as well. But regardless, like for having this for a year and this is the size of it, like that's incredibly slow. And I don't know if it's just that I don't have the conditions right, or I'm not really sure, but definitely a plant that I'm not like amazing at. However, I will say this is probably like, even though it's so slow, it's definitely been like growing better for me than the variegated, the silver forms of Skindapsis. I have a secret. I'm actually getting a wish list Skindapsis in the mail later on this week that I will have to show to you guys. It is being graciously gifted to me by a friend, and she told me what it was and that she was sending it because she needed my new address. But I cannot wait to share that with you guys, and like fingers crossed that I don't struggle with that one. I'm gonna be babying the heck out of it. But yeah, I don't know why Skindapsis in general. I mean, maybe because I'm growing them as trailing, like maybe I'd have an easier time if I grew them as climbing plants, but and the leaves yellowing, that's just been a huge problem for me. They seem to always be yellowing their leaves, and I don't really know. Maybe it's just me. Okay, next I'm going to be talking about a plant that is just starting to look good, but that I have really struggled with over the past year again. And I hear other people talk about how easy these are, that they're so hardy, and I feel like that very well could be the case, but I've just had like, I don't know, I've just had a rough time over the past year, but I think maybe we're finally getting to the point where it's establishing itself, and you know, it's just gonna be roses from here. But oh, I'm obsessed with this plant, you guys. Like, I'm obsessed. Look at her. Oh, she's been worth the struggle. Oh my goodness. This is my beautiful Alocasia black velvet. You can see she is in the 2-leaf club now. Look at that. Get it, girl. She had been in the 1-leaf club for a very, very long time. She was in the no-leaf club for quite some time, you guys. I grew her back just from the bulb, and now she's finally looking healthy. She is in pon. I want to repot her because look how much algae, you guys. She's just full of algae, but she's really happy in pon, and yeah, she's thriving. This leaf is quite new. It's come out since I've been moved, so it's come out within the past few weeks, and yeah, it's just perfect, gorgeous. Everything about this plant is absolutely stunning. This kind of reminds me of the Alocasia dragon scale. Like, it's the same type of vibe. If you have both of those plants, then you know what I mean. But so I'm thinking maybe because of that it'll be easy once it's more established, because the same thing with my dragon scale, I really struggled with that thing when it was very small, but then as soon as it started putting out some bigger leaves and getting more established, it's just been like so easy. So maybe that'll be the case, but I definitely don't think that these are like as easy as people say. Like, they definitely, you know, need the right conditions and the right care. But yes, look how pretty she is. My goodness, love her. That plant really just gets me going. Okay, next, this is a plant that I hear people say is easy, and I've definitely had, you know, we've had our hardships. But I know it's not just me. Like this, I know that this plant, a lot of people do say is tricky, and it is the String of Hearts. This is a Silver Glory version, but I'm just going to be talking about String of Hearts in general. Do you guys remember in like one of my tours, I don't even know when, but I had that big String of Hearts that was like hideous. It was like completely balding from the top, and it was just starting to put out like healthy growth from the bottom. I don't know why I had such a struggle with that plant. Like, I think that part of the problem is that so many people are so adamant about telling you not to overwater these. Like, don't overwater, never water these. And I find that they need more water than you would think. Like, if I underwater this, its leaves are gonna fall off. Like, look at this. This is from me underwatering, I'm pretty sure, during the move. Has some leaves that are just like dying off, see? So you can't like, they need water, you guys. You can't like completely just ignore these. Like the leaves get flimsy quicker than you would think. If you're someone who's an overwaterer, then yes, definitely take heed of your watering here with this guy because it is a more succulent plant. But like, you guys, they don't store that much water in the leaves. Like, yes, it's a more succulent type of leaf, but maybe this is an unpopular opinion. There's not like a ton. It's not like the most like thick, juicy, like, you know, this isn't like a bear paw or a burro's tail or something like that. It's, you know, a thinner leaf. It's my string of hearts rant. I also brought my variegated one to show you, which is very slowly growing. I had a whole bunch of these. Well, not a whole bunch. I had maybe like 3 or 4 pots of this, and I sold the rest before I moved, and I just kept this one for myself. Has this little vine going. Yeah, I do find these kind of hard to like keep the leaves nice also. Like you can see I have these like nice juicy leaves at the top, but then as it grows, they're just kind of like, I don't know. And I have this laying across my windowsill so that they can all get good light, but I just find it hard to really like maintain these like nice big plump leaves. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like this needs like a Goldilocks zone and you really have to find that sweet spot. Okay, next you guys, I'm going to be talking about a begonia. This is my begonia Linda Dawn. I really love this begonia for its dark foliage. If you can see, like, look how pretty she is. And then she has these really beautiful red backs. So she is a very gothic looking begonia. I got rid of almost all my begonias. That's not true. I got rid of like a handful of them when I moved because I had been struggling with some of them. But this one, even though I have been struggling with it, okay, bye. Even though I have been struggling with it, I just love the foliage so much on this one. I need to keep trying, so maybe you begonia people can give me some advice for this lady here. But she's just never, like, she looks okay, right? But she's just never her best self, I feel. Like, she has more potential than this. She's constantly, like, her lower leaves just kind of go, like, weird looking. They get kind of curled, and then they eventually fall off. And I don't really know, like, I don't know what she wants from me. I don't know what I can do for her. And then the other kind of problem that I have with this plant is that she kind of like loses this really dark foliage. Like if you look, this is a good example too. This is an older leaf of hers. It's almost completely dark, right? That's what I love. This like very dark, deep green foliage. And then she starts to give me, I wonder if this is something to do with the fertilizer or what, but she starts to give me leaves like this with these like pink polka dots. And then she looks more like, I've had arguments with people, she looks more like a Benego pink when she puts out this type of foliage. I had a cutting from her that had foliage entirely like this leaf, and people were in my comments on my Instagram telling me that this was a Benego pink, and I was like, no, it's not, it's a Linda Dawn, because it looked like a Benego pink. And she's getting it on all of her new growth. These like, they're not as prominent as they were on that other plant I had, but she has these pink dots, and I don't want the pink dots. And at first I thought that it was to do with lighting, but she is like getting very low lighting now. She's in my kitchen window, you guys, which hardly gets any direct light at all. Like it's very kind of shaded light. So yeah, like look at this new leaf. It's so spotty. Why is that? It doesn't seem to be correlating with the lights. Like it does a little bit because she was getting highlight before and I moved her away from it, but she's still giving me those leaves. So I wonder, is it to do with fertilizer? I don't really know, but I just want her to grow big and tall and bushy with very dark foliage, and I seem to just kind of struggle with her getting there. I feel like I'm talking forever about this one, you guys. I'm sorry, but I just think maybe somebody out there can help me. Like normally I'm pretty okay with cane type begonias. That's why she's in this video, because a lot of people say like cane type begonias are very easy, especially for begonia beginners and whatnot. And for the most part, I would agree. But this one I've just had a bit of a tough time with. I actually completely chopped her up and restarted her from cuttings. That's where this plant came from. Because the other plant was just looking so horrible. So these are like the nice cuttings that I salvaged. But yeah, if anyone has any advice, if you have Begonia Linda Dawn, please let me know. And then the last plant that I'm going to be talking about, which I'm sure will come as no surprise because a lot of you have witnessed my struggle with it, and that is Monstera peru. Now let me tell you, every time I see someone recommend this plant as an easy plant, easy beginner plant, because it's a Monstera and because, you know, they've had an easy time with it, I'm just like, how? Like I've had the most, this is almost on par with my Thai constellation because this thing is so prone to root rot. I'm even like, I get so paranoid about it. Just looking at its roots now, I think it's okay right now. But I've had to reroot this thing like, I don't know, 3 times maybe, and then it was growing from a wet stick, which I had to keep cutting down because it kept rotting. So this is grown from like a tiny, tiny nub, you guys, and it has 2 leaves now. As you can see, look at this newest leaf, it's so pretty. She's living the luxury life in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet, so she's doing really well right now. But I would never classify this plant as easy just because of the problems I've had. I think that they're quite picky with watering, and honestly, I think a lot of Monstera are like this. Like, people say that Monstera are so easy, and I don't know if I would call them easy. I would call them hardy. Like, they're very hardy because I've been able to bring back every Monstera that, let's knock on wood, you guys, you know, I just got that Adansonii, but I've been able to bring back every Monstera that's gone downhill and like rerouted or whatever, like with my Thai. But I don't know, a lot of Monstera I just think are kind of like picky. Like, again, they need like that sweet spot of watering. Like, you can't let them dry out too much, but as soon as they're dry you have to water them. At least that's how it was with my Adansonii, like my regular green Adansonii that I had. Like, it was just fussy with when I watered it, so I really had to keep a close eye on it because you couldn't overwater, but you couldn't let it, you know, be underwatered for like an extra day or something. So yeah, I don't know. I will definitely give this plant credits for being super resilient. I'm shocked that it is here with us today, honestly. I was rooting the wet stick, like the tiny wet stick of this, for almost a whole year, and then it started giving me, ooh, drop an orchid bark, and then it started giving me a leaf, and yeah, I was absolutely shocked by it. Okay, you guys, that is going to be it for today's video. If you have any care tips for any of these plants that would maybe help me out, please feel free to leave that down below. I would love to hear from you. Also, if you are interested in my Patreon, of course, that will be linked down below for you as well. I always have my Patreon linked down below in my description. I have a lot of fun stuff in my description, actually. I have my Patreon linked there. I have my merch store linked there. I have my Amazon storefronts linked there, which features, I have one for the US and for Canada, and it features a lot of my favorite plant products if you're interested. And also let me know if you would like to see the part 2 version, plants that I find are easy but other people tend to think are hard. I would love to make that one as well. As always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys like crazy, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!
Try